Wysteria, energy, twister.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Legends of Britany. We are now on the Lay of Laustic. The Lay of Laustic, or the Nightingale, is purely of Breton origin, and indeed is proved to be so by its title, Laustic. I deem men name it that country, Britanny, says Marina preface to the lay, which, being interpreted, means reassigned in French, and Nightingale is good plain English. She adds that the Breton harper has already made a lay concerning it, added evidence that the tale is of Celtic and not of French origin. In the ancient town of Saint Malo, in Brittany, dwelt two knights, whose valour and powers brought much fame to the community. Their houses were close to one another. One of them was married to a lady of surpassing loveliness, while the other was a bachelor. By insensible degrees the bachelor knight came to love his neighbour's wife, and so handsome and gallant was he, that in time she returned his passion. He made every possible excuse for seeking her society, and on one pretext or another was constantly by her side. But he was exceedingly careful of her fair fame, and acted in such a way that not the slightest breath of scandal could touch her. Their houses were separated by an ancient stone wall of considerable height, but the lovers could speak together by leaning from their casements, and if this was impossible, they could communicate by sending written messages. When the lady's husband was at home, she was guarded carefully, as was the custom of the time, but nevertheless she contrived to greet her lover from the window as frequently as she desired. In due course, the wondrous time of spring came round, with white drift of blossom and stir of life newly awakened. The short night hours grew warm, and often did the lady arise from bed to have speech with her lover at the casement. Her husband grew displeased by her frequent absences, which disturbed his rest, and wrathfully inquired the reason why she quitted his side so often. "O husband," she replied, "I cannot rest, because of the sweet song of the nightingale, whose music has cast a spell upon my heart. No tune of harp, no viol can compare with it, and I may not close my eyes as long as its song continues in the night." Now the lady's husband, although a bold and hardy knight, was malicious and ungenerous, and disliking to have his rest disturbed, resolved to deal summarily with the nightingale. So he gave orders to his servants to set traps in the garden, and to smear every bough and branch with birdlime in order that the bird might speedily be taken. His orders were at once carried out, and the garden was filled with nets, while the cruel lime glittered upon every tree. So complete were the preparations of the serving men that an unfortunate nightingale, which had made the garden its haunt, and had filled it with music for many a night, while the lovers talked, was taken and brought to the knight. Swiftly he bore the helpless bird to his wife's chamber, his eyes sparkling with malicious glee. "Here is your precious songster," he said, with bitter irony. "You will be happy to learn that you and I may now spend our sleeping hours in peace, since he is taken." "Ah, slay him not, my lord," she cried in anguish, for she has grown to associate the bird's sweet song with the sweeter converse of her lover, to regard it as a measure in accompaniment to his love words. For answer, her husband seized the unhappy bird by the neck, wrung its head off. Then he cast the little body into the lap of the dame, soiling her with its blood, and departed in high anger. The lady pitifully raised what was left of the dead songster, and bitterly lamented over it. "Woe is me," she cried. "Never again can I meet with my lover at the casement, and he will believe that I am faithless to him, but I shall devise some means to let him know that that is not so." Having considered as what she should do, the lady took a fine piece of white samite, broidered with gold, and worked upon it on a tapestry a whole story of nightingales, so that her knight might not be ignorant of the nature of the barrier that arises between them. In this silken shroud she wrapped the small sad body of the slain bird, and gave it in charge of a trusty servant to bear to her lover. The messenger told the knight what had occurred. The news was heavy to him, but now, having insight to the vengeful nature of her husband, he feared to jeopardize the lady's safety, so he remained silent. But he caused a rich coffer to be made in fine gold, set with precious stones, in which he laid the body of the nightingale, and this small funeral urn he carried about with him on all occasions. Nor could any circumstances hinder him from keeping it constantly beside him. Wrap me love's ashes in a golden cloth, to carry next my heart. Love's fire is out, and these poor embers grey, but I am loath to quench remembrance also I shall put his relics over that they did consume. Ah, 'tis too bitter and cold these cinders to relume. Place me love's ashes in a golden cup, to mingle with my wine. Ah, do not fear, the old flame in my soul shall flicker up at the harsh taste of what was once so dear. I quaff no fire, there is no fire to meet the bitterness of death and turn it into sweet. The end. Well, that's interesting indeed. It's a different tale. It's a sad love tale because looking at it, they do not seem to rekindle their love. It seems to stay that way. There's no more to the story, so yeah. Thank you for listening to this part of the Legends of Britany, and many blessings.
Wysteria, energy, twister.